Welcome, everyone. I'm Nancy Pfaff, a contemplative certified spiritual director. You can find out more about me on the introduction to this series. Tonight, we offer this Lectio Divina for the bravery and suffering of our friends in the Ukraine, the mothers and children fleeing for their lives, and all those wounded and losing their lives in the war, Ukrainian or Russian or others. Here is a poem I'd like to read. It's called We Remember Them by Rabbi Sylvan Kamens and Jack Reamer. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. Peace. The reading for this Lectio Divina features Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi, a Sufi spiritual master, and his poem, The Guest House. He is popularly called Rumi. His deeply spiritual poetry acts as a portal to the infinite. How can we calibrate our hearts to a fine enough scale to be aware of ourselves as one with the divine? It is a subtle, innermost, and delicate thing. Through repeated sincere practice of Lectio Divina, you can taste the great mystery that is vast and true. It is our essence. With practice, you can learn how to cooperate with it. More on Lectio in a minute. For those of you new to this channel, it is an interfaith, non-sectarian audience, and all are welcome. The deep roots of each religion are honored, accepting the uniqueness of each, and honoring all those on any spiritual path. I use different words for the divine, and in this presentation, I'll use, quote, the one, end quote. Jerome Waddle, the creator and producer of My Dragon Theater Productions, is watching the chat, so chime in. I'd love you to subscribe by just clicking the bell, and then you can get notices of when we go live or post something new. Why Lectio Divina? It provides a space and a time to be quiet enough for the one to break through the noise of everyday life. This allows it to manifest in our awareness. Experiencing that presence is a taste of home for our souls. It's not easy to recognize in everyday life, but by practicing Lectio Divina, our perception is fine-tuned to the subtler states where we can experience the oneness with the one. Lectio Divina is an ancient spiritual practice of paying attention with open heart to inspired poetry and prose, especially the sacred texts of the spiritual paths. The words can evoke a heightened interest or a stronger feeling response at a point in the reading. These inner movements signal a personal connection to the one in that moment. Briefly, you ponder the words and their meaning to you in this moment. Relate the reading to yourself. Be present to what arises. and rest in the stillness of your inner being. The words may even evoke a memory which is important for you to have right now. Let me share a story that illustrates the challenge of realizing the subtle awareness of the One. This month, I had an MRI, which is an X-ray taken while you lie down in a giant machine and can't move. It takes about 15 minutes. The technician gave me some earplugs because there's a lot of thumping and bumping and banging that goes on. Also, to help me, they had earphones so I could listen to my favorite music. As I lay there, very still in the dark, I was completely separated from everything. At first, the banging and pounding was so loud, I couldn't hear the music at all. When we first start Lectio Divina, we may not be attuned to that subtle presence. After a few minutes, I could hear a few notes of the music now and then, enough to know it was there. Each time I caught those notes, there was a sense of well-being. That would be like noticing an inner movement during Lectio Divina and being aware that it is a moment of encounter with the One. It leaves you wanting more. Finally, there were a few seconds in the machine when it was silent, and the music filled everything. This would be the experience of a longtime practitioner of Lectio Divina. We know a subtle yet profound clarity of awareness of union with the One. In this, we know our true self, free from old patterns and wounds that cloud our perception. Our spiritual master is Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi, who lived during the 13th century. He was a Sufi mystic and poet and Islamic scholar. As a Sufi, he belonged to the mystical branch of Islam. His beliefs advocate unlimited tolerance, positive reasoning, goodness, charity, and awareness through love. His 6-volume poem, Masnavi, The Spiritual Couplets, is a spiritual text that teaches Sufis how to reach their goal of being truly in love with the One. The Masnavi is one of the most influential works of Sufism. It has been viewed as the greatest mystical poem in the world, and our reading will be from that Masnavi, as edited by Professor Coleman Barks. This reading reminds us that we're more than our thoughts and feelings. When troubled, we can be the space in which these thoughts and feelings are taking place, but not be possessed by them. Laughter is mentioned. Laughing without judgment at our thoughts and feelings is a way of accepting them and disarming them. The only negative emotion is the one that is denied or judged unacceptable. I like this quote of Rumi's. Only from the heart can you touch the sky. We have 3 other videos with Rumi's poetry: What Was Said to the Rose, Becoming Selfless in the Presence, and Kiss the Ground. Links will be added to the description. Now we'll prepare for Lectio Divina. Choose a safe place for your meditation. Then state an intention, such as I consent to your presence and action in my life. Mark this time as a unique time by doing a simple ritual, like making the sign of the cross or bowing your head. Really, any gesture that's meaningful to you. This helps our mind and body shift awareness to our inner space. During the 1-minute periods of silence, be attentive to where your interest was drawn. Relaxation helps us quiet the body So let's begin with 2 long, slow, deep breaths, inhaling gratitude for the mystery of being alive and exhaling any heaviness or tension. And I'll do this with you. Now let's enter that time, a time like no other time, a place like no other place. You may close or soften your eyes. Suspend temporarily attention to the daily world. Open to a deeper place, that place out of which you love. Visualize, imagine, picture, or pretend you are sitting with a pet animal. What does it feel like to be with this pet? Let all concerns dissolve in this simple, ordinary experience. Feeling refreshed, listen to the readings. The first reading, the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. The one may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. 1 minute of silence. The second reading, the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. The one may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. One minute of silence. The third reading, the guest house.
The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. The one may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Continue to be present to your experience. At the count of 3, you will return to your full awareness. 1, bring your awareness to the health and vitality streaming in your physical body. 2, notice a natural glow of well-being emanating through all levels of your consciousness. 3, experience a smile coming to your lips as you connect to the joy of being you. Fully aware, fully alert, fully present now. Take a moment to reflect on your experience. That which touched you gave you an experience of a conscious connection with the One. Make a mental note or jot down some words that were gifts to you. What message does this bring to you at this time in your life? One of the keys to Lectio Divina is to expand and share your experience by bringing it forward into a shape, by sharing it with others verbally, writing about it, and creating artwork and poetry. This deepens the relationship with the One and helps us detach from our false self and expand into our true self. Another way to enjoy the gift is to talk about it with the One. A lot of sincerity goes a long, long way. Say what you've experienced, what you've received, and what it means to you. Ask your questions. Pay attention to responses coming to you from the One. What gets your attention is a clue. Let me tell you a story of how my soul was made whole by accepting painful feelings and letting these feelings be the white water of a river, taking me to the source for healing. My house being swept clean by sorrow occurred on a morning in May 2018. It followed cancer surgery. While waiting for a report, I was very anxious and I had an interior vision. In the vision, I've died and am all alone in an empty room. Total isolation. This distressing experience became a doorway for deep healing. 2.5 years later, while working with a counselor, up came the memory of my 3-year-old child self in a coma. I remember being conscious in that coma, but unable to open my eyes or move or speak. I was lying on my grandmother's bed and I was totally alone. While talking with my counselor, an inner knowing connected my earlier vision of utter isolation to the experience of that 3-year-old totally isolated, yet aware in a coma. It's clear to me that through the vision, I actually felt what I as a child had felt in the coma. With this realization, a split off part of myself, that child alone in a coma, became conscious, and a wonderful gift of feeling whole changed my life. It seemed like my consciousness came into my body in a new and fuller way. It was like I found and welcomed a part of myself that had been separated and isolated from everything and everyone. Now it was home. I see why Rumi writes that our thoughts and feelings can be welcomed as a guide from the beyond. The wholeness of soul I felt after processing these feelings was like finding a diamond encased in a conglomerate of river stones. Had I avoided or suppressed these painful feelings, the healing would not have occurred. The inner 3-year-old would have remained split off, and the me being dissociated. Sometimes we need the help of an experienced, spiritual teacher, spiritual director, or a healthcare professional, they can provide the safety in which these powerful feelings can be welcomed and integrated. I'd like to close with these words of Rumi from the Masnavi, from the portion that was taken from the guest house. This is the original version. Every day, too, at every moment, a thought comes like an honored guest into your bosom. O soul, regard thought as a person, since a person derives his worth from both thought and feeling and spirit. If the thought of sorrow is waylaying joy, it could also be considered as making preparations for joy. It violently sweeps your house clear of everything else in order that new joy from the source of good may enter in. It scatters the yellow leaves of the heart in order that incessant green leaves may grow. It uproots the old joy in order that new delight may march in from the beyond. Now, before we go, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the chat and ask a question or just say thanks. Do comment if you're signed into YouTube. Share what stood out to you or what you liked. To enjoy Jerome Waddle's readings, just type Jerome Waddle in the YouTube search bar. If you'd like to contact me as a contemplative spiritual director or learn more about deepening your spiritual journey, email me at sacredquestreno@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me. May the love that passes all understanding keep you in peace.